So hello everyone, thank you for tuning in. I just wanted to create a little video here. I'm here with my business partner Callum on Let Property. We've built a hugely successful property company, and recently what I've been getting a lot online through social media, I want to keep putting content out to you guys. I've been getting a lot of questions around how we effectively built this property company from zero to what has become one of the most successful property companies in Glasgow in terms of sales. We're currently turning over multiple six figures a month in sales in the company, and we've built a fantastic sales team so far. And a lot of the questions we get is from young entrepreneurs or salespeople, and people we've been doing interviews for that are asking, how can I come into this very hard, high entry barrier industry and make £10,000 a month in property? What's the best routes? What's the way? And I thought no more than fitting to bring Callum on here, who has worked with me since the start of Let Property. He's my business partner in Let Property, and I really want to go over a little bit first of his story, what's led him to become hugely successful in this space too, and obviously what it is we're doing here at Let Property and how you can take some of this back for yourself and obviously take some of this on for yourself and come in and be a successful property entrepreneur yourself. So Callum, thank you for coming on, my friend.
Thank you.
So introduce yourself, tell everyone a little bit about your story. Where have you started? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, definitely. So we basically, in terms of property, I started off a year ago. I wasn't even involved in property. I didn't think that, I always knew that it was something I'd want to do. I think everyone thinks that that's potentially something that they'd want to go into later on, because obviously the earning potential, everyone knows that there's a lot of money in property. Yeah. So it was something in the back of my mind. There was a local property event in Glasgow that had actually came up, and I decided, let's just go along, see what happens, you never know. And then I ended up meeting yourself there.
Yeah.
And you at that point, you'd obviously had sold your previous company, and you were looking at different avenues to then, you still wanted to progress, you still wanted to grow. And then that's basically when we then went forward and had a coffee, and that's where it all began.
Yeah. So how did we, just for everyone knows, so how did we actually know each other? So
it was before we actually went to school together. You were 2 years older.
Yeah.
We used to go to Scouts together.
We went to the Scouts together. We did indeed.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
So I still knew you, by your first name when I seen you, and from there we just.
Yeah, so we went, so you were at the property event, and then we went for Starbucks, didn't we?
Yeah.
And you were telling me all of the different things that you were doing at the time. What was that like?
Oh yeah, so we went for the Starbucks, and we were basically just going through what I was doing at that point. I was trying to, 1,000 different things in order to make money.
Yes.
E-com stuff like stocks, forex trading, even like all the things.
Wasn't a business you weren't doing,
Yeah, I had my fingers in many pies, as you could imagine. But yeah, I mean, from there can you kind of discuss that I understood with yourself what you were doing, and it's been a long journey since, but a lot has changed, and we're in a really strong position.
Yeah.
Really strong position now.
Yeah. So you effectively came in. We had that conversation. You were doing sales at that time, right?
Yeah, that's right. So I was involved in sales. I was actually working for a company, and it was employment law, business to business sales.
Yep.
So it was quite a sort of unique sale as such, but still sales. And then from there, I was kind of looking for my next thing in terms of how can I take this normal sort of sales sort of salary, and how can I then make more out of it and progress and expand.
Exactly. So you were doing employment law, and I think that did definitely help a lot in terms of your own property journey with Let Property, because to put things in perspective, you came on the first week, and this was at the very early infancy stage of Let Property.
That's right.
We had a couple of other guys in that I'd worked with in my previous business. At the time, I was looking to get more stock on, which for anyone who's wondering, that was get more properties in the mix, stuff to sell basically. So Callum was the guy, we kept in touch with social media. I'd kind of put some posts out, and I was like, Callum, I think you'd be perfect for this. You're doing sales right now. You don't know F all about property, and even thinking back to then, I didn't really know a lot about property too. That first week was a bit of a joke, but actually surprisingly we did quite well. So I was sick the first week. What was it happened?
We basically, basically that was it. We went in, wasn't really. It was just us trying to. I know you were doing property for like about a year previously.
Yeah.
You had your own stuff. You were in a transitional period because you were still working in your previous business.
Yeah.
But you're kind of dabbling. You kind of knew that there was something in property.
Yeah.
So yeah, then from that, yeah, basically when we sat down and said, right, let's try and make something of this.
Yeah.
You know, you'd ran some ads, we had some appointments, phoned some people up, booked in some meetings as such, and then basically just went out. Didn't know anything I was doing, selling people estate agency.
Yeah.
You know, oh yeah, I'll put your property on the market. Coming back to you know, going, you know, how do we put this on the market?
We didn't even have a right move account at the time. We're selling the dream to all of these property sellers, but the one thing I think you had coming into doing that role as a job was that you understood how to build relationships,
Yes, for sure.
which I think is a key important skill in property, because you're dealing effectively with high value assets for people. So from that perspective, you had an understanding of how to build relationships, and that was probably the most important part for yourself, because in that first week that you came in, like I was actually sick that week as well,
exactly.
I didn't even have the time to sit and explain how the process of a property would even work, how selling would even work. And you came in and you actually signed a few decent clients in that first week that we'd got from paid ads, and you know, you effectively signed them up and they became clients with Let Property, and we went on to actually to sell those.
Yes, it was basically just sell the houses.
Yeah.
You know, straight off the back of that, which was great. But yeah, I mean that's it. I think when with me, it's like I always say, like sales, it's like everything you do in life is a sale. You know, whether it's, you know, trying to get a girl at a bar, or whether it's, you know, trying to, you know, get a better deal in the car that you're buying, or, you know, in negotiation, everything that you're doing.
It's relationships,
It's relationships. So, you know, if you can build that up, and it is a skill, there's, you know, different techniques that you can have, and if you have them fundamental techniques and skills, you're taking that into a game, so, you know, an industry like property, you know, where
it's high upside, huge potential, you're dealing with high value assets,
high ticket, you know, product, which is properties itself. Some of the properties we've got in London, you know, £500,000, one around the corner in Glasgow, you know, it's like you're dealing with a lot of money, you know, big, as you said, high value assets, and if you can move that on, then you're going to get rewarded for that. So
how's your role developed? Give people a kind of indication, because obviously you were in a sales job before, you've come into property as an absolute nobody in terms of property understanding and knowledge. You would say a sales background, right? And I would say very quickly you did an amazing job at making that transition to become a property person, which I think a lot of people will be quite thankful to hear if they're wanting to come into property, because they're thinking, you know, maybe there's a lot I need to know, maybe I need to understand all these little details. So tell people just a little bit about what that journey was like from those first appointments to literally what you're doing today, and give people a feel of kind of what you've had to learn, how you've had to grow as a salesperson and now a business owner within Let Property. Tell people what that journey's been like.
But I mean, it's been interesting. I would say, like, initially you don't need to know as much as what you'd think. If you want to get into property, I mean, it is quite, you know, the fundamentals are simple. You know, you're just selling someone's house. It's you know, if someone likes the house, they're going to buy it. You know, and if you can create a good enough relationship with people selling, like what I did in my first week, I didn't know anything about, you know, property. I didn't even know what a home report was. You know, you know, people are asking, oh, do we need to get a home report? I'm like, oh yeah, you probably let me I'll sort that out for you. You know, just batting off the objections as such. But so I mean, from that, just kind of moving forward, and I think obviously a year in now with the business, there is a lot you need to know, you know, but it's more sort of intricacies of that you know you work out over time. You know, the guys that we've got through in the office, you know, they're the same. They're working out these, you know, smaller details as well, and it's something you pick up, and it's just experience, you know, and you can't get that experience without actually going in and doing the actual role itself.
And that's quite interesting you're saying that. So you're talking about small details. So I mean, I think a big part of property is understanding that it's always changing. There's always a new thing. You know, we had a property today even that was like, is this property a house or is it a flat? It was one of these kind of ones where it's like, looking at it kind of looks like a house, but it's actually, you know, legally a flat, you know. So it's like every single day, you know, there's all these little details, and I think that's what makes a really successful property person, is obviously being around a lot of business, a lot of things are happening, and somebody who's resourceful enough to eventually think about and learn about all of the details to the point where you're at now, a year or so into the game. And I would say in many ways, there's investors with, millions of pounds coming to you for advice on what properties to buy, right? You would be regarded as an expert in this space because of the amount of time and energy and focus and drive that you've had in this. And ultimately, I think it's a lot of those little stack-ups of knowledge, things you learn, situations that develops you into becoming that expert. Would you say that's kind of fair?
I would. Yeah, definitely. I think, it's just, as I said, through that experience, you can stack it up, and you can start to learn the different situations and scenarios that go on. But for sure, absolutely. Got you.
And to tell me as well, so you've come in here, sales into property, very successful in property. To give you perspective on what Callum does day to day, he still does work on the sign-up sides of clients, but he's effectively managing the team now, sales team that we have in the office. And he's the guy that people will come to in our office to get advice, to figure out kind of what to do next in difficult situations, perhaps. So, just so that people understand, Callum, what would be the best piece of advice you would give to someone that's starting where you started a year ago or a year and a half ago? What would be the thing that they should think about doing to get themselves into property, to start earning a big income in this space? What would be your kind of action tips?
Yes, that's a good question, Gary. I would just say straight off the bat, the first thing that comes to my head is get involved.
Yeah.
If you want to do something, there shouldn't be anything that holds you back from just going forward and getting your feet in the ground and trying to find something to do. There's plenty of people. We're always looking for new staff. For instance, there's plenty of companies out there that are the same. They are looking for staff. Property market is booming right now. So basically, I would say starting off, I'd say get some experience under your belt. You need to understand. I'd say with ourselves, we had a unique sort of story to it. But there's no. If I could start and go back and maybe from when I was younger, if I started off in an estate agency, that we would have been a lot further. We would have been a lot further, and especially in my own career and what we're doing here, it would have made a huge difference to have them, that knowledge base initially as well.
For sure, definitely. And that you said an interesting word there, estate agency. So give people a bit of an indication, because I would say our business is a little bit different to the average estate agency. The big similarity, of course, is, and I think the uphill battle you've had in this industry, not just you, myself, is understanding how the sales process works, right? But just for anyone watching, tell everyone what you think we've done differently in this business to succeed. We're making more in this company than many of the high street estate agents on down the road there on a monthly basis. What is it about our approach that has been special?
Well, I think, for most estate agents, it's what's the problem that you're solving, right? So, most estate agents, it's very much, let's put it on Rightmove, let's put it on Zoopla, let's wait for people to call in. I've contacted a couple of estate agents local, looking at properties that I'm wanting to buy, and they call me maybe once or twice, and then that's it. There's no real sales. There's no sale involved in the other side of the phone. I think what we've created is, first of all, we're solving a problem that most people would shy away from solving. We're selling a property as a sitting tenant in place, which is actually a much more difficult problem to actually solve. And with that as well, with better problem that you're solving, the more money that you can make with that. Because it's more of an investment. I think we can have high net worth clients coming to us to buy these properties. Then that's where you're going to make more money as well. So I think a combination of both of that makes for really interesting business model.
And you're saying sales there, so that's interesting, because a lot of estate agents, we were speaking about this the other day, it's they're kind of customer service people, right? It's like when we're looking to bring people onto the team, we're not really looking for estate agents or people even with property experience, because the property experience is important, but that can be learned. I think what can't be learned a lot of the time is really someone who can close. Close deals, because I think the approach to being successful in property is solving the problem in the most efficient way. When somebody's trying to sell a house, they have two things they really want. They want the best price for their property, and also they want it done in the quickest possible time. If your approach in selling that is relaxed in any way, you're not going to naturally attract a high volume of clients, because clients want speed and they want price. And if you're not hard sales, hard going at that every single day, speaking to buyers, finding ways to get properties sold and over the line, then that's going to come across in the results that you deliver, right? Because probably one of the main reasons we've grown so much too is because of our ability to actually deliver the result to the sellers that come on with us. We can actually get something from A to B. So let's just talk for a second about, like, you know, where is it we're planning to go with Let Property? You know, we talked about this extensively just now. We've went from what was probably in the last 12 months a very much a little us business, right? It's been lifestyle, it's been like we've been doing the sales day to day. It's now becoming a much larger organisation. We have members of staff in now that actually sell the properties, and some of the guys in that room through there are earning ridiculous amounts of money selling property with us, and we can talk more about that in a second. But let's just go into kind of what our vision is, what it is that we're trying to do. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, as you know yourself, right now we're in a very transitional period again. We have about 2-3% of the Glasgow market. We've now stepped foot in Edinburgh, Aberdeen. We've sold in Dundee. You know, we're slowly, you know, expanding from Glasgow and now taking across, you know, across Scotland. And we're looking to progress that. We're looking to really, I would say by end of the year, I would want to be in every single you know, city across Scotland. And then from there again, just, you know, then it's your transitioning down south. We have a couple of properties we're sitting down south already, but not as, you know, aggressively targeting the market, which share down south. So I'd say you know, moving forward, that's really, you know, what we're going for. So it does present like a lot of good, you know, opportunities within that, especially for the guys. We just had an interview there. You know, the guy's, you know, very competent. He put from one of your friends down south actually, a really interesting tip was to put your phone number in the actual Indeed listing. The good sales guys will see a number and they'll call it, you know. So the guy phoned me actually yesterday and was like, Callum, I've seen your ad, blah blah blah. Closed me on doing a meeting, like you know, so. And
it's funny that, and I think for a bit of fun, what we'll do here, just for this, if there's anyone on here that's looking to get into property sales, look for a job, by the way, we'll leave your phone number just in the comments here. People can give you before you're maybe going to get absolutely harassed. But that's fine. We want to get harassed here, so we'll definitely do that. So I mean, we're trying to expand across Scotland. Is a very different high level approach now that we're taking to the business, which is super exciting. That's what I love. You know, you yourself, you're stepping out of this role of, you know, signing up properties to where you become an expert and actually managing a team of people to do that, you know, and that's super exciting. And I think, you know, you touched on kind of one of the most key points there, it's people, right?
For sure.
Because throughout this whole conversation here, you know, what we've been speaking about is, you know, how can somebody come into this space and become successful, and how can they be a great property person? It really does ultimately come down to your ability to engage with customers and solve problems for them, because it's a people game. You know, like you might be doing e-commerce, you might be doing stock trading. These kind of things are not as much people business as property is. Property is about getting a person, a human being who has a very expensive asset to either sell that asset with us or buy that asset through us. And ultimately, to do that, it requires a high level of trust, friendship, and skill of understanding people's problems, pain points, to actually get that done. And what we've got here is a robust framework for how people can come in who have those natural abilities and do that. And I think that's what's made, you know, the success in the office there. So then let's touch quickly on, you know, obviously everyone watching this knows you've been super successful. You share that online. You know, you talk about the success you've had in the business. What are some of the guys doing through there? You know, like
brilliant. I mean, brilliant stuff. I mean, that's what I said to one of the guys that he's selling quite a large portfolio with us, and he's kind of asking the difference between us and a normal agent. And you know, the first thing that came to mind was the people. And we're very specific about the sort of people that we want. And the guys through there, I mean, they're killing it. Like some really good numbers on, you know, making, you know, some really good figures. Even you know, themselves, as such, making thousands of pounds on top every month on their base salary.
And we have a very bonus based structure how we pay people.
We're very generous in terms of what we offer.
because you want the best people. Ultimately, you want to, and this has always been my philosophy, is to share the wealth, right?
Yeah, of
At
course.
the end of the day, we kind of see the job of these people in here. They have their own little portfolios. You like to even say it's like kind of like they've got their own little business when they're working with us, right?
Yes.
They've got their own little portfolios, but they're dealing with their buyers, they're dealing with their sellers, or for the agents that are bringing stuff on, it's the same kind of thing. Their own little pool of sellers. They're bringing the stock on from all of these landlords that have multiple properties in the way that they want to do that, and that's almost very entrepreneurial. Is the approach that we have for all of the people in here.
Absolutely.
From that perspective, it's giving people a massive cut. And the great thing about property, especially investment sales, anyone's coming into this game, looking into the investment sales side of things, you've got investors all over the world that are looking to invest. If you're in Scotland or anywhere in the UK, they want to buy stuff here.
Absolutely.
The returns are next to none in this country. The ability for capital growth in this country is next to none as compared to other areas of the world. If you've got invested in Hong Kong just now, and the returns on a property out there, it's like 2-3% in some of the major metropolitan areas of Hong Kong. It's like here in Scotland, we're looking at like minimum 7 to 12%, even on some of the properties that we're actually selling on. So from that perspective, when you're dealing with an investor who's got a high net worth, that advice and that time that you spend and that problem you're solving for them is a very high ticket problem, right?
Absolutely.
If you can help somebody deploy millions of pounds of capital in the UK, do you think the commissions for doing that is a valuable thing to that investor? And can you take some of the upside that investor is going to experience from those investments? And as I say, I think that's what the key to our model is. And obviously, a lot of the guys that I know in property that are wildly successful too also notice that investors is a fantastic way to go to.
No, absolutely. And then even for yourself, Miguel, what would you say? Like, you've obviously came from quite a different background to myself.
Yes.
You've went in and really took the backlink SEO to one of the biggest companies in for your space,
yes.
And then moved that company on. And what was it? Because you could have easily went into a lead company or a marketing company and do the same model that you know well, and you know that you'd succeed in, and you know you'd still make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So why was it property? Why did you decide to go into property?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like a lot of people ask me this question because I had, for anyone who doesn't know, I had a very successful SEO business. It was a link building company, which is a little niche within SEO. We're actually one of the biggest companies in the world, and that was going extremely well. And I took a complete U-turn, a year or two ago when I met you and we started this property thing. And I think that the biggest thing there is the potential, the size, the unbelievable opportunity available in property. As compared to SEO, there was a lot of potential there, but when you kind of get to the top and you're one of the best in the space, when you're driven like I am, it kind of becomes a bit boring. That's the truth. I think with property, I like it because we're always on our toes. I don't think there'll be a size we get to in this business where we'll think, oh, we've made it. Because there's always going to be England, there's always going to be the United States, there's always going to be
Dubai,
other niches. We're selling investment property right now. Could we get into developments? Could we get into? There's just an unbelievable. And if you think about it, we sometimes laugh, we're like, oh, this week we've sold 10 properties. It's like that's not even a street.
Yeah,
that's nothing. The sheer size and the abundance of opportunity, I think, within property is one of the most exciting things. And I think for me and yourself, that for someone like us that's very growth and highly driven mindset, there's always going to be availability for opportunity there. Whatever end of the market that is, whatever type of business that is, we have our own very unique and highly lucrative business model that we're running at the moment. Yeah. That's going to transition, it's going to change, it's going to develop, it's going to become even bigger than I think what we see it as right now today.
Definitely.
And I think that for me was the main reason for sort of stepping out and coming from the SEO industry into property and starting this.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think was the thing that actually made this business work? Because there's a lot of people trying to get into property. You see all these different property posts online.
Yeah.
What was it that made? Because people will see you and they'll see, obviously you've got money.
Yes.
You've got quite a lot of success for your age. So there is that. When you break it down, you're still just like anyone else. You're still just trying to make it work. So what was it that made it work?
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, the thing that made it was a couple of things. Number one, I think it was the targeting the niche and solving the bigger problem, as you touched on earlier. I think when you're coming into something, you always want to be thinking about, how can I serve a market better? What is it I can do to be special and different? So there's that side, and then obviously my marketing ability, I think, and I made that initial drive to get people in who were landlords, were looking to sell tenancy properties. That was the real initial, product market fit that we got there. But the biggest uphill battle and challenge I think I've had, and the thing I've had to learn, you came in with a bit of experience on this, but even you like this, is we're building a sales team now, right? It's actually getting good people in the door, right? Getting good people in the door, because what we care about more than anything is the results for clients.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in this space, someone's ability, as I say, to build relationships, be a great salesperson, be resourceful themselves and have their own properties in front of them, and have that mindset of, I'm going to come in here and completely wipe the floor with every single other guy in this office. I think that's been the biggest challenge as well, but it's also been what's made this work so well. Some of the guys that have got in here are just making it happen. It would not happen without the team behind it. The service delivery in properties, people, when I was selling backlinks, or you were selling stuff in an e-commerce business, the deliverable was the product from China, or for me it was the placement on a website, right? It was a backlink. It's like, the product on this business is people. It's people delivering the result to clients, and it's money changing hands. And the only reason money changes hands in property is when the agent or the person behind it understands what goes wrong before it does, and knows how to frame, set expectations, keep things right, to follow a straight path. And I think if someone has that empathetic understanding of how to deal with people, has the ability to deal with people in a really good way, they're going to fit in really well with property. It's one of the best sales jobs, or one of the best sales routes that somebody can actually take, because it is high ticket and it has so much upside in the values of assets that you're moving. If you're sitting in Curry's, selling fridges, you're selling something at £300, £400, okay? What's the commission on a £300 or £400
1% of a £300 product,
right. What's 1% of
£500,000
house, right? So it's like, there's more money in selling something that is higher value, and that's ultimately where you'll see all the courses, you'll see all the ads, there's so much money in property, you'll see us. There absolutely is, and that's exactly why there is. But what you need people in your corner, you need an understanding of the skills that's going to be able to make you become an expert at moving those assets on, because it's not just as simple as selling a fridge.
I think one of the funny things as well though is, the same amount of time you'll probably spend, we know ourselves, sometimes the clients that have the lowest ticket that come in and they want to spend the least, they're more difficult. You slap an invoice down, some of your retainers like 40 grand a month, you don't even bat an eye, they'll just sign it.
Exactly.
Whereas it's like the ones that you're fighting for that are just, the small, and it's the same in property right now. We have, when it's a big transaction, the one that we had in Meadowside Gardens, guys pulling up in crazy whips, coming into the office and just paying cash for the property. It's ridiculous.
It becomes simple. Yeah, I mean, you deal with these big ticket things. You're dealing with higher net worth individuals.
Yeah.
It's actually easier than you think when you have that understanding.
I would 100% say that. I would say property was easier than what I'd expected.
Yeah.
It was a lot easier than to get where we are now.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's been a grind, it's been a struggle, it's been a year of super hard work and dedication. However, it was actually came a lot quicker and easier than I'd expected.
Yeah, exactly. Well, look, I hope this has been useful for anyone that is interested in coming to property. I really just wanted to bring Callum on here quickly. We're away back to work just now.
Yeah.
We're busy guys. But no, I appreciate everyone tuning in again. Feel free to message us if there's any questions, guys, but really appreciate this, and thanks for coming on, Callum.
Brilliant, cheers. Thank you.